Hello, this is Phil, Fowave, back from the sick bed. Today I'm gonna talk about the debut tape of SUMNJA, a death industrial duo from Western Germany, from Dortmund. Tape's called Loesch Mich Aus, which basically is German for Erase Me. It's been released in 2023 as the first publication on their very own Silk and Heart imprint. SUMNJA consists of members of SUMNJA and Rhizome Weaver, who was previously known as Hosiana. The tape has a housing of a transparent jewel case, and the magnet tape has an encasing that comes in a milky white transparent colorway. The handwritten project name signifies side A on the tape, while being crudely executed. The writing on my edition is slowly dissolving, as you can see. It kind of rules and fits, given the sonic nature of the release. There is a 2-page J-card that shows minimalistic artwork consisting of some photography and tear effects that weave their way through the whole layout while rocking a metal AF SUMNJA logo on the front. All seems to be home Xeroxed and cut and has a nice smooth touch about it. The tape packs 5 pieces, while track 5 is considered as a bonus track and only appears on the physical copy of the tape. The total runtime of the tape is about 25 very intense minutes. Unfortunately, the cassette is currently out of print. I hope they bring it back at some point or make the last track available to some point, because it's, as we'll dive deeper into the release, it's my favorite track on the tape. First piece on the tape, which is titled Loesch Mich Aus. Right from the get-go, noisy, dirgy death industrial is being presented. Instrumentals seem to be electronic in nature, but nurtured with physical, though heavily processed source sounds. The vocals are kind of reminiscent of German heavy electronics due to its use of, this public broadcast style of echo. Even though it's more angstful and frantic in style, I'd say. It's rising in intensity, performed and layered in a very thought out and tasteful fashion, I find. I feel like there's some pitch manipulation going on. Either that or the barrage of vocal layers brings this effect. The piece packs 2.5 minutes, but already suggests that this is going to be a very grey and cold but intense and emotional ride. Second piece on the tape, which is called Light. The track starts almost relaxed in mood with reverby, tape murk and vocal delivery that sounds almost dreaming and uncanny in style. I hate to draw a comparison so early, but this reminds me of early 80s TG a little bit. Heavy sawtooth electronics set in that paint somewhat of a rhythm. Vocals change gear in performance and intensity and bring a couple of very interesting techniques to the table. Yells, shrieks flow seamlessly with each other. Vocals are truly treated as a performed instrument in this piece, or any other track on this tape. Like this is basically a mode they pull through the whole project. Nonetheless, the noise takes a lot more center stage on this piece, shifting and evolving in rhythms and patterns. It's like an audio equivalent to strobe light through heavy mixer feedback. Despite the track's intro, it packs a similar structure like the first piece, albeit heavier and more defined in general sound and delivery. Third track on the tape, Ich gehöre nicht dir. This track switches from being the mellowest to the most fiendishly hellish piece on this tape, and honestly, it caught me off guard so much that it fucked me up for a while after the tape was done. Honestly, it starts out with some ritual noise, adjacent dark ambient that boils and informs itself for some good 4 minutes. Don't get me wrong, it still rumbles and feels highly dangerous, but after the straightforwardness of the first two pieces, this feels a little like a breather. Almost has a soundtrack quality about it. Choir vocals and synth swells give this a very ominous feel, like we're being watched by a pack of hyenas that just wait for the sunset to end and the darkness to set in to make their move. Yeah, and then the last third kicks in, and in a way I wish it didn't. Abrasive power electronics lay waste to the ball of tar this piece formed itself to be until now, just to prepare a barren wasteland for the vocals to take stage with their bleakest delivery so far. Ich gehöre nicht dir, like I don't belong to you, is shouted right at the listener, and instead of gaining intensity in delivery, it grows more and more weary and disillusioned and sad, while a second source of vocals deliver anguished and frantic screaming on the verge of dying. Actually, I gotta compliment the performance of this. No, I do not enjoy listening to this, but yes, I enjoy the performance. It's as raw and dedicated as it gets. It's overwhelming and drags itself for longer than I want to listen to it. Really, all by design, I assume, so I gotta take a bow and thank SUMNJA for ruining my day. Jokes aside, this is a remarkable piece, and even though I didn't subjectively enjoy the latter third, I really loved the first bit of Ich gehöre nicht dir, and gotta give credit to the execution of pure audio sensory transgression SUMNJA brings to the table with the climax of this piece. Gold wie Asche. The fourth piece brings chaotic and dynamic harsh noise with power electronic sensibility and serves as a palate cleanser, I feel like. It's short and filled with electronic noise and physical sound abuse paired with frantic screams that let themselves being buried in raining rocks that crash from the sky and try to lay waste to everything we've experienced on this tape so far. It's ending in a somewhat isolated mantra repeated over and over again, almost like a nursery rhyme. While in itself being a fine piece, it kind of fades after the previous track. Maybe something more of a breather might have carried more effect and give me time to process. Instead, Gold wie Asche might breeze by some people and not get the attention it deserves. But this is my subjective feeling about it. Maybe other people, just clicks a little more with them in the sequence of the tape. Last piece, Under God. It starts out with some meditative percussion and deep bass synths, very brooding and physical in vibe. It sounds otherworldly and ritualistic. There's chants and sporadic shouts, which make this a very immersive experience. The general sound is more broad and open than the direct assault of the previous pieces. Tom drum rhythms set in and create an overall spiritual vibe. Images of large fires come to mind that project dancing shadows onto the walls. Here and there, pure mixer feedback noise creeps in, but just very sporadically, fades again quickly after, and just present enough to keep the attention there and not to drift off too much. Voices fade and piece switches while keeping the brooding atmosphere to a more performance-orientated mode in that it jams distinguishable percussion rhythms. Halber Mensch Neubauten or Fragile or Ghosts era Nine Inch Nails comes to mind a little bit. The vocals come back clearer and drier than ever, while other vocal harmonies create a completely new, yet still very threatening and apocalyptic outline and mood. I gotta say, I'm being glad that this piece is being included to the physical copies of this release, because it shows the same sensibility SUMNJA show in their other tracks, but in a more reduced, direct, and cerebral manner, instead of relying on effect through volume. Not that they are being lazy by playing loud on the other tracks, but the volume dynamics were a key ingredient until this point, and I love how they maintained the essence of the music while translating it to another setting. So this being said, Under God is my favorite piece on this tape. It's remarkable in composition, production, and delivery, and I'd be interested in hearing more of this in the future. I don't know, maybe, not in the context of SUMNJA, because I don't know how much of like an outlier that kind of track is for them, or but it's a very well composed and produced track, and it gave me a lot of joy. General feeling, without knowing too much about the background info and intended meaning of this release, I get a feeling of power through pain, transformation, and eventual healing after the protagonist is enduring periods of trauma. There is a certain narrative arc shown starting in pain that culminates in liberation and ultimately in metamorphosis. The tape does not transport any positive vibes during the whole process, though. More like emphasizes the bleakness and necessity of survival at all costs, while only suggesting the sheer horror that awaits for those left behind. The release has a very dirty but transparent and consistent mix to it. The person responsible for the mix and master of this tape certainly made sure that everything that is supposed to be heard is being heard, and while being saturated in sound, the loud parts never break out into full crunch that overloads the mix too much and takes any transparency from all information that's being thrown towards the listener. For my personal taste, this isn't something I put on for regular listening pleasure or inspiration hunting. As for me, it's a very bleak, dare I say, hopeless, spirited effort, and it's heavily wearing these kind of parameters on its sleeve. Except of Under God, maybe there's not much room for interpretation. Feels like as the core emotion of pain is pretty much spelled out most of the time, and I do prefer my industrial noise more abstract and obscure, or obscured, if you will. However, this doesn't take away from the fact that this is an objectively really, really well made and intense effort, both in sound and concept. It's very well thought out, and while the sequencing of the 5 tracks don't bring it for me 100%ly with what I perceive as a dip after Ich gehöre nicht dir, I certainly see the vision and intent behind it, and it's clear as day for me that it's a matter of taste and my problem, not SUMNJA's. Also, I appreciate the courage and ability of the band to create pieces this emotionally abrasive and raw. They found a remarkable balance on this debut, already with the matching of emotionally charged narratives and a sound with a fitting intensity in size and chaos. It's a magnificent effort. Yeah, I hope they reproduce this tape at some point or as a compilation with the other release they have. I think so far they only have two. Nonetheless, the members of the band produce material individually as well. Like I mentioned, one at Samichny and the other one being Rhizome Weaver. Both parts individually bring elements to the table that culminate in SUMNJA eventually, and I am sure I'll come around reviewing their solo work as well at some point. I'm excited about that. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for the release, SUMNJA, and see you next time.